3, 2, 1. Here we go. Holistic Health of Harry, your boy, coming to you live on the world of Facebook. For those of you that are going to tune in, what this video is going to be about and why I want to do this is sharing the magic, whilst we're still allowed, of magical mushrooms. Psilocybin. There's two types, I guess. There's the red and white Amanita muscarias and the muscarias, and then there's the psilocybin varieties. There's loads of types of mushrooms, but I'm not talking about the medicinal. I'm talking about the psychedelic power, the power of mushrooms. Yeah, Stefan, good day to you. And yeah, so I did a post on it yesterday, and God, it needs to be talked about so much more. The power of mushrooms to transform the brain, the mind, the soul, everything. The power of psilocybin. So yesterday was convenient because it was a time where I would be alone for pretty much from early morning till about 3 or 4 p.m, which gave me a window to take some of my mushrooms that I've recently bought. And this one was I had 7 grams, which is a lot, of dried mushrooms packed from a guy on Facebook, Bobby Dread. Shout out to Bobby Dread. Thanks for the service. And I bought a load of them, dried. And the important thing with mushrooms, magical mushrooms, is, guys, I've made this mistake before, and I'm not sure everybody knows, but maybe you do. You can't not leave them airtight, because if you leave psilocybin in air, the longer it's left not airtight, the more the power of it degrades. So mine was sealed tight, and I cut it, and I took, and I think I ate, from the 7 grams, I ate about half. I didn't do the measuring properly, but roughly I ate half. And I'll be honest, guys, when I took half at like 3 grams, 3.5, I did not expect what happened to happen, but it did happen, and everything happens for a reason. I thought, okay, 3 grams, 3.5 grams, that's a lot, but that is not enough for me to completely lose my ego. I mean, chop it off. I literally chopped off my ego, which is good. And remember as well, guys, there's no such thing as a bad trip on plant medicine. Like, even if you go crazy and into psychosis, because you can't handle the truth, because it's okay, because the medicine's too powerful and you aren't that stage of your journey, that is not a bad experience to have. Honestly, hand on heart, there is no such thing as a bad experience. Unless it completely breaks you and you forget unless you're completely permanently in psychosis. If it temporarily makes you in psychosis and crazy because you can't handle the truth, that's cool. Just like one of my first ayahuasca trip. Anyway, so yes, I took the 3.5 grams, and I did not expect what happened yesterday to happen. And it came up kind of quick and took me by surprise, and I needed to chill under that bed. And very fast, I'd say within an hour or two, I don't know the exact times, it came up and it completely disintegrated every trace of ego that I have remaining. Now, I find the topic fascinating because ego is something really important here. But the more trauma you come into in this world, either you come into, or the more trauma you self-create or other people give on you, the more traumatized you are, the more, paradoxically, of an ego you have. And this is not healthy, to have an unhealthy, overlarged ego. This is why traumatized people often can't communicate effectively. They don't know how to socialize. They don't know how to vibe with people on a normal level. The more traumatized, the bigger your ego, the more you can't connect with people on a real level. This is why it's so important for us to work on tempering. I'm not saying ego's not important. I know people say all the time, yes, ego's important. It's just the more fucked up you are, the more bigger your ego, the more selfish you are, the more you're about me, and the less you can connect. Ego stops connection. Ego is unhealthy at the level that I came into it from the things that I caused my own self-damage. It doesn't matter who caused your damage, other people or you created it in your mind, or a bit of both. Having too much of an ego is unhealthy, and it stops real, authentic fucking communication, which is where it's where many things that we do come into play, especially magic mushroom psilocybin. Because yesterday I got my ass beat, and the ego, which is very strong in me because I have a lot of trauma. However, I've worked so hard and my ego was way more out of whack, way more delusional, way more inauthentic. It was way worse. I've done a lot of work on myself. I can at least communicate and have friends better, but I recognize I have one. I have a huge ego and it has to be healed. So the magic mushroom really showed me a lesson. And get this, the higher your ego due to trauma, the harder you're going to find it when you take a large dose of magic mushrooms that completely destructs, because a large dose of magic mushrooms can completely deconstruct the toughest, fucked up, traumatized ego ever. It just can. That's what it can do. And then what happens if you haven't done the work and your ego's too strong because the trauma's not there and you're not looking, or because your life's hard and you've had to protect yourself from, that's why trauma comes in the first place, to protect yourself. But it also causes an ego that's delusional. Anyway, the more trauma you have, the more trouble you're going to have when something powerful like a large or a mid dose of magic mushrooms comes. Then what's going to happen is your ego is going to disintegrate, and because your ego is so fucking strong and delusional in its reality, you're going to get something called psychosis. And all psychosis is you aren't ready to handle the truth, because ultimately it was too much. The plant medicine was too much. You haven't done the work yet, and that's okay. When I did ayahuasca 2 years ago now with my ex, I got psychosis, and I was okay with that. Well, I mean, on reflection, like I said, there's no bad thing. I wasn't ready for that truth. But when it came with this magic mushroom trip, I'm telling you guys, I completely lost all trace of ego. It was that much magic mushrooms. My body was empty. I'm a small body. I'm only 5'5", 5'6". I'm very small, and that was a very large dose of mushroom for a small body. That's also clean, because I do a lot of things. So yeah, it completely went. And I'll admit, I felt very uncomfortable. I felt like, shit, I felt, when your ego goes, you don't even become human. You don't identify as human. Things that I remember is why I was feeling very uncomfortable with zero ego at points. I mean, zero. I remember thinking, I am no longer human. I was a bit worried. I was like, fuck. Also, time seems to completely stand still. Time is irrelevant, guys. We know this, right? We know this in the communities. You'll see it when you take enough magic mushrooms. And you lose sense of duality and 3D and go into, I don't know if you want to call it 5D, where there's nothing. You're not human anymore. There's no such thing as time. Time's stupid. Another huge lesson from yesterday I want to share with you guys is the truth of what Einstein or whatever people say, that life is frequency. On the magic mushrooms yesterday, all I could feel was frequency. I was in my room and the whole room and my whole brain was going like I was in line with frequency of the universe. It was mental. My body was humming and raving loud at a frequency, and I was like, fuck, this is what this frequency, everything is frequency. I get it. Everything. My body was humming to a frequency like a car engine, but it was the frequency of the universe. It was tuned in. I'd say it was cool, but it was also scary, because at the same point I wasn't a human. So I'm like, what the fuck? So I went through all kinds of stages. I remember my feet sweating. I was really uncomfortable. I was honestly scared because I was no longer human. And I can't remember the last time I've never escaped all ego and gone into human. But the frequency thing was fucking cool. What else? I wrote down some stuff I wanted to say. Because it's hard to take back lessons from it. And by the way, I know so much healing has gone on unconsciously through this. I'm just trying to verbalize and help myself by telling you guys what I learned. So what I learned was that all life is frequency. It's okay. Oh, huge lesson. So yes, I felt uncomfortable for a lot of it, but I know something is changing in my growth because I didn't go into psychosis. I lost my ego the same as ayahuasca after the ayahuasca experience. After I lost my ego completely and felt really uncomfortable, what happened, I believe, was a demon. I went into, no, let me rephrase. After ayahuasca treatment, I lost all ego. I went into psychosis. I went nuts. Like full-on psychosis. Crazy. I couldn't handle the truth. Like Jack Nicholson says, you can't handle the truth, Harry. Yeah, I couldn't handle the truth. I went to full-on psychosis, and then after an hour or two in psychosis, a demon came in and made me a huge pervert, and it was disgusting, where I wanted to fuck boys and men. It truly wasn't me. But that's okay, so my auric field was broken. This time I felt just as uncomfortable, not being human, and losing all ego, because obviously I have a very strong ego, like I said at the beginning, due to trauma. We all do. At least all of us in the community. That's a tough one to hear, because I know that we work the light, and we're the knowledge bearers, we're the truth seekers compared to the normals. But if we're being real, in one sense, we have a bigger ego because of trauma, because we've been through more trauma. But that's what gives us the reasons to work on our trauma and to seek the true path of talking real, of just being real. It's a path basically of self-awareness, extreme self-awareness, lack of denial of who you are, and then it's a path where we can see exactly the problems of people that come into our lives. Whereas if you tell them about it, it's like talking to a brick wall, someone with a fluoridated stare, and they think you're nuts. But you can see what's gone on with them because you're seeing yourself and how you have to work on yourself, and the only way to grow is to work on yourself. So coming back, we do have more trauma. So anyway, this time I felt just uncomfortable. I did feel like I wasn't human, but I didn't go into psychosis. Phew, because psychosis sucks. Psychosis when you think you're crazy and you're never coming back. And because in that place in the mushrooms, many times there's no sense of time, you think like you're that forever. You feel like, oh fuck, I'm not human forever. It's weird to feel like you're stuck in a non-human state. It didn't feel fun. It didn't feel fun going through it. I wasn't like, yay, I'm not human anymore. I was like, fuck, I'm no longer human. Where's my ego gone? Oh shit, you disappeared. So yeah, it was like that. But anyway, I didn't go to psychosis, so I know I've improved. And I think, for me, I will keep putting myself in these states. I'll keep putting these states where I'm going to let my ego crash. And yes, it's an external tool. Because so far, I haven't found anything that lets my ego completely burn and crash and disintegrate 100% apart from plant medicine. Some people will say you can do it through meditation. That's not my role here, to sit in a cave and meditate for 10 hours a day. I've got shit to do, and I live in the matrix, and I've got to help people. So I'll use all the tricks to take that ego completely down. Because what I feel is, when you take large to mid doses of mushrooms, and that ego comes completely down, it not only gives you a new reference, when the ego comes back up, because it does, and I'm still the same personality that I was before on this journey, nothing profound has changed. I'm not acting completely different, right? Oh, by the way, I just reminded something else I learned from the journey. I'm not acting completely different, but actually what I think happens, I might be wrong, is that each time you completely disintegrate the ego and it comes back up, it doesn't quite come back at the same level. You're taking a piece of it off. It gets a little bit quieter, a little bit calmer, a little bit more chill. And then you do another dose, mid to large, and you completely disintegrate again, and each time you chip away at what I think is the hardest thing to chip away of in this life, and that is the ego, from unhealthy levels, and hear me out on that. I can only talk for me. I can't talk for you guys, but I know some of you can relate to it. You just got to keep chipping at it and working away to become more authentic. The ego must be tamed. It must be to become authentic, and it can be done with plant medicine. And to me, it's like a cheat code, and it's not easy to go through, but I'd always use those cheats, same as I do with the urine therapy and all that things. One huge more thing I want to share, too, with this journey is that were revealed to me through the mushrooms is, number one, I am truly, honestly scared of how powerful, whatever you want to call me, a healer, a shaman, I am truly scared of my own power. I didn't think consciously I would ever... If you called me out and said today, are you scared of your own power? My friends or someone I cared about told me, I was like, nah. But I am, because the mushrooms told me. I'm scared of just how powerful I am. And what that means is, I think, even for me, I don't do all the things that I should do in this lifetime, bearing in mind what I know and what I see. Because when I was on it, I was reflecting. Basically, I walk around day to day, and even when I'm in the Matrix world, surrounded by strangers and all this, I'm always thinking things about strangers and seeing personalities, and I'm always analyzing. And these are all quiet thoughts that are just me. And on the mushrooms, I was reflecting on these thoughts I have being around strangers and seeing them out and about, and I'm not judging them in an unhealthy level. I'm judging them because I can see what's going on inside you. I can see the issue. I can analyzing. I'm analyzing correctly about people. And the mushroom showed me, Harry, you analyze people, you're correct, but you don't acknowledge, Harry, your power. You don't acknowledge that all these little thoughts you have on a day-to-day level about people that you see. You somehow think that that's not a big deal. You somehow think that's just normal. It's not normal. It's a fucking superpower. But because I live my life all the time, I just have these thoughts and I don't share them with friends. I just keep them because they're kind of insignificant, right? You see a person, you see the damage, you're never going to see them again, but you find it interesting. And then I just reflect, oh, this person's this person's like that, this person does this because of that. And I just think it's insignificant. It's not. I'm on point with a lot of thoughts that I have, just as you guys are. I'm saying I don't trust myself. I doubt myself, but there's no point to doubting myself because through the mushrooms, it revealed to me that all these thoughts I have about people, they're all true. And I think the only reason why it can be like that for us is to be so on point about other people's trauma and what they need to do in the denial. It's only because we've had to go on such journeys to look at ourselves and not lie to ourselves. Because, I don't know, man. I think, like, the difference between those that work for the light on a conscious level and those that are unconscious and fall into what I call the matrix and the devil's trap, living lives of lies, they are all, because of the lies of the system, truthfully unself-aware to varying degrees, some of which can be quite shocking to us. The levels of unself-awareness are very high in this matrix right now, and it's really shocking and surprising and weird how people can't see it. But it isn't, I guess, an individual's fault. I blame the people at the very top that run this world and don't teach us these things in school, where self-awareness and trauma work and healing and physical health, true physical health, is not valued. So of course people are oblivious and just trying to survive, because life is tough without having to look at yourself and take an honest look at yourself and think, do you know what, I'm fucked up. People live with triggers. People live with unconscious behavior that causes them destruction. People drink alcohol. People eat shit. People only care, this includes me, people only care when it goes completely wrong. Only then do people care. When it goes completely wrong. When you can't lie to yourself anymore, that's the only time that you wake up in this reality. I couldn't lie to myself no more, so I woke up. I'm sure the same for you guys. You get to a point. But a lot of people can lie to themselves because they haven't reached that point of true suffering. So they live in this weird realm of unself-awareness and unconsciousness. And it's mental. And that is the difference between us and them. Anyway, I don't trust myself, and I am smart, and I'm glad I took the mushrooms because I feel different. Like I said, my ego's been tamed a little bit. But I don't know. Today I noticed there's like a shift in how I think. I feel more secure thinking thoughts that I've always thought, but I feel more secure in verbalizing them. Like to my mum today, I feel more secure because we all run through insecurities of what we think we know and we don't know. And what I know is fucking powerful. What you know is fucking powerful. It's all truth. I see correctly a lot of the time. Correctly. We have to, because that's the only way we grow. We have to see correctly. And I love it. And it is a superpower. It's a superpower. But our power is kind of wasted on people that don't. You can tell people all you want about their issues and their traumas and try and help them, but people put back, a lot of people that we know, loved ones and family, especially loved ones and family, because I know a lot of people who are black sheep, they put a wall against you and they can't let any of the information and truths you have in. So then you must protect yourself from these people, and you must create boundaries, and you must take time away, because these people can seriously drain your energy and disacknowledge your power and make you think you're not correct and harm your growth and harm your soul journey here. Your soul journey here is only to carry on growing and working in yourself and surrounding yourself, if I'm being honest, around people that understand you and let you grow and be you, and people that acknowledge your truths. People that don't disregard you and acknowledge your core truths. Not playing the game of like being nice and allowing other people to put you in a role which you're not. You're a fucking light worker. You know shit. You have knowledge. We might have bigger egos, but we have knowledge and true knowledge. And we've worked hard. So if people put you in roles that's anything but that, it's a false reality they created for you. And you can play the game if it's a loved one if you want, but that's not who you really are. And if you keep letting people put you in a role where you're just like the simple guy that they look after, like mum and dad look after you like a baby, and I've been in that role and I go in that role, but I don't like that role too much because that's not really who I am. It doesn't make my soul come alive. Being put in a role where other people are mothering me. What makes my soul come alive is sharing knowledge with other people that appreciate what cuts my life is growing, looking up to guys and girls that are on the same journey of consciousness as me, that are higher than me. What makes my soul come alive is helping people on the same journey of truth that are below me. What makes my soul come alive is hanging out with people on the same level as me. And guess what, guys? There is fucking levels to consciousness too. I do believe that we all come at the very beginning at different levels. Some person's level can be so shit. It's hard to get really high. You know, some people come at better levels, and it's all good. Because whatever level you're at, there's always someone that's going to take care of you and understand you and get you. There's always going to be someone that's below you that you can help. There's always going to be someone on the same level as you. It's awesome. Right? Yeah. So that was it. That was my ramble. Oh, one more thing. I do love my mum and dad very much. I was crying on the mushrooms because I know when they die, I'm going to be completely gutted, and I can really see that on the mushrooms. On the come downs, I was really like feeding into that and okay with... We all have to go through suffering. And it's going to be gutting when your loved ones die, but you move on and you carry on your light work. So, yeah, that was it. The lessons that I received from the mushrooms. Everything here is truly frequency, and there's nothing more exciting than feeling in your body when you take magic mushrooms. It's fucking awesome. Losing ego is not nice, but if you keep doing it, you take yourself completely, by the way, you keep taking yourself to another level where it becomes more real, and you could have authentic communication with people. And that's all I want, really. Coming from a life of living a lie, all I care about is authentic communication. I know you guys get it too. When people don't communicate authentically with you, and you can tell they're being triggered and lying to themselves and all this, it irritates me still. And I've got work to do on that, right? Authentic communication. We are very good at authentic communication regarding health, healing, consciousness, and growth. 100%. We're brilliant at that. We're masters of it. We've had to be. So that's good. Also, Harry, trust yourself. You trust yourself. Because if I'm saying I trust myself, I don't trust myself, and the mushrooms shows me, Harry, you think so many smart thoughts on a day-to-day basis. You take yourself for granted because you're always thinking like that. I just think there's nothing special about me often, but that's not true. You got to trust yourself just as much as I do. You got to trust yourself more because you're smart. You don't realize how smart you are. I know that because I don't realize how smart I am, and I think I'm smart. So I know you don't. So trust yourself more, or take some mushrooms like me. And find out that you're smarter than you ever gave yourself credit for. That's fucking cool. But yeah, that was the lesson from the mushrooms. Amazing. And again, psilocybin. Fucking sick. Peace.